Honest J. Nowak. Oh yeah.
A pleasure to meet all at last, and welcome to... Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out a name for it, so I'm sorry about that, but until that happens, let me just say that this is only the second out of quite a few that I will be talking about in this new crossover that's going to be involving a lot of car marks, where I basically talk about the history of these car marks and what they're best known for, as well as some of the things that might have led to their failures. This one, of course, is one that you're probably very familiar with, as opposed to Saab, which was what I talked about yesterday. But this one right here is known as Plymouth Motors. This car mark was founded on July 7, 1928, which was almost 93 years ago, by Walter Plymouth. This was, of course, a division of Chrysler Motors. As you know, Chrysler Motors does own a lot of car marks out there, including Jeep, Fiat, and Dodge. But Plymouth was unlike the majority of those, as it carried a lot of different qualities, as opposed to these other marks. Plymouth Motors, while being founded during the late 20s, which was of course a time before the Prohibition basically started to really take into effect and eventually allow for gangster violence to take place. But Plymouth Motors was unlike many car companies out there that eventually had gone defunct because of the Great Depression. It, along with several other survivors in the automobile industry, managed to hold up on their own, even as many other anomalies began to take place throughout history in the 30s and 40s, like the Dust Bowl, World War II, and many others that had also taken place. But Plymouth Motors did eventually begin to gain a lot of popularity as time went on, especially throughout the 40s and 50s, where we would eventually begin to see a lot of new models out there developing. But when Plymouth had its highest peak of popularity was when, in the 60s and 70s, such models out there, including the Roadrunner, Barracuda, and many others out there, began to show up on the marketplace. They became vast successes in the automotive industry. And that's mostly because of their high-end performance, their more economic costs, and also their reliability. These were just a few examples of such great models out there that we've come to know ever since they first started. Plymouth, of course, is something that I myself have regularly founded to try and find a lot of rarity within. And that's mostly because it's just like some other car companies out there, ended up becoming defunct. But unlike Saab, which was of course a victim of the recession and ended up closing in 2012, just a few years after it supposedly ended, Plymouth, unfortunately, became defunct in June 29th, 2001. Just over 70 years later. The same year as Disney's California Adventure had opened, the 9/11 attacks, and also the incredibly terrible Planet of the Apes reboot. The year 2001 also pretty much got hit on the head because of Plymouth's closure. And many other things, but that's pretty much a way to get sidetracked. Plymouth still does live on, though, in most ways. A 1973 Plymouth Barracuda could be seen in the Fast and the Furious movies, which was of course driven by Vin Diesel's actor in those films. Vin Diesel driving a Plymouth Barracuda, what an amazing way to really rack up the popularity in Plymouth, even long after they became defunct. And like most car companies out there that have also gone defunct, it still finds a lot of ways to still live on as a legacy, as a whole. I, of course, have my share of upholding the company's legacy as a whole by still loving a lot of older models and more rarer models out there, including the Acclaim, Voyager, Reliant, and many others from way back in the day. But aside from all that, Plymouth still does hold on to itself, being a division of Chrysler. While it might be gone, we do have a lot of Plymouths out there that are still rolling on the roads all day and night long. So, that's pretty much what that's all about. But, let's just say I got much more to come other than all of this. This was, of course, just another really big car company out there, but let's just get into something that was a lot more rarer in contrast. So if you want to see more, go down to my channel. Make sure that you like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side.